Elfreda. I'm the Client Portfolio Manager at Alphinity Investment Management. Today I have Jeff Thomson with me. He's one of the global portfolio managers and one of the founders of Alphinity Global. Today we will be reflecting a bit on Jeff's recent trip overseas and some of the key highlights. So Jeff, as a starting point, tell us, where did you go and who did you see?
Yeah, thanks, Elfreda. A really interesting trip. I spent 2 weeks overseas. The first week in Asia, mainly India. L'Oreal had a capital markets day, so we attended that, but also saw some companies around that in Singapore. And then I went to New York and spent a week seeing many of the banks and financial services companies.
Exciting. So tell us, what are your sort of broader views on Asia, and what were some of the key highlights for you there?
Yeah, I'll probably just focus on India, which was, I think, really the standout for me. So just an extraordinary country going through at a really interesting period in its history. I think we all know some of the facts anyway. So 1.4 billion people. It's already the fifth or sixth largest economy in the world. Probably set to grow sort of 6.5% real terms for many years to come, sort of putting it on track to be probably the third largest economy in the world by the end of this the decade. So just really exceptional country. Some of the other stats I'd call out is the average age in India is 28, which is remarkable. Yes. Some people, economists think there'll be about 100 million people joining the working age population before 2030. And to put that in context, China's probably working age population will fall 40 million people in that period. The US is only going to grow 6 million. So really just an exceptional growth opportunity, I think, and quite striking. Yeah.
That definitely sounds very exciting for the future growth opportunities in India. But where does that leave you from a stock implication perspective?
That's a really good question. I mean, we did see a number of different companies. We met obviously L'Oreal, we met Hindustan Unilever, we met some of the other domestic consumer companies. We also met some of the banks while we were in India. I think broadly speaking, unquestionably, I guess given what I've just said, we are positive. I did come back more constructive. I think from our perspective, I think the more interesting thing is trying to understand, to the extent that India is a growth story, how that impacts some of these multinational companies. And there's probably 3 companies that I'd call out that I came back more constructive on. Unilever has a really large Indian exposure through their subsidiary Hindustan Unilever. Walmart has a big e-commerce business in Flipkart, and again that I came back more constructive on. And the third one is L'Oreal, and perhaps just double clicking on L'Oreal. I think one of the things that you're seeing in India is this confluence of a number of really big positives. So I've already alluded to the fact that it's really young, digitally engaged population. So one of the statistics which is really remarkable, the average person in India spends up to 7 hours a day engaged digitally on e-commerce, so 3 hours of which is on social media. So very young, digitally engaged population, and also very aspirational and increasingly wealthy population. And I think really engaged around that sort of beauty, skincare thematic. So I think L'Oreal's really well positioned to grow into that. So L'Oreal, just for context, is currently not in our portfolios, but it's exceptionally high quality business. We do have some concerns around China, for example, which perhaps is still a headwind in the shorter term for L'Oreal, but certainly came back more constructive on that, and that's a company we'll be doing more work on. And as I say, I think some of the more sort of focused India plays, I think you have to acknowledge that the phrase that I think we heard many times on the trip was there are many Indias. So I think there's 22 different official languages, there's 9 major religions, there's 28 different states. So it's the world's largest democracy. It's a very vibrant democracy, but there's certainly going to be zigs and zags. So I think from our perspective, it's really trying to understand to the extent that we can get that exposure through some of these really high quality multinationals.
Great. Well, thank you, Jeff. A lot to think about there. For more information from Jeff and the team, please visit alphinity.com.au for a recent note on the trips and additional company notes. Thank you.
Thanks, Alfreda.